For people who grew up in emotionally unattuned environments that were maybe chaotic, conflict is one of the only ways that they were certain to get attention. So by raising the emotional cadence in a room and creating conflict with someone, they are sure to get attention from that person. Hi, I'm Dr. Han Ren, and today we're going to be talking about the phenomenon of conflict as connection. This is something that can happen in any interpersonal relational dynamics. But today we're specifically going to talk about what this looks like, how it presents, and why it happens with emotionally immature parents. In families with emotionally immature parents, the parents may lack the skills to connect with their children without creating chaos and conflict. These are parents who may have stunted emotional capacity and tends to be emotionally unavailable, selfish, immature, or even narcissistic. The focus is on control, predictability, routines. They keep replaying the patterns that they know subconsciously because they are so afraid of looking inward or being curious about other people. Because they are not taking time to introspect and grow and develop their emotional maturity, this leads to them repeating the same subconscious patterns over and over again across their lifespan. In all interpersonal relationships, we need connection. And as children, we learn how to put out these bids for connection by saying, "Look, Mom, look at me. Look at that. Wow, a bird." We do things to share attention with our caregivers. And when we are met by curiosity, wonder, genuine connection from our caregivers, when they say, "Oh, that's so cool. Good for you, honey. Wow, I see that." Then we learn, oh, it's safe. And we feel really good to share attention with someone who cares for us. But when our bids for connection are not met, then we may have to escalate because after all, negative attention is still better than no connection. And when these kids become adults and they become parents and they never update their repertoire, then they become emotionally immature parents. Conflict energy is costly and conflict energy is activating. When parents are able to create conflict in a room, then they feel like, oh, my needs matter. They're paying attention to me. This is what I know about how we can engage. Another way that conflict as connection shows up for emotionally immature parents, especially for those who come from collectivist backgrounds, is by asking their adult children to do something for them. It's like that trope about Asian parents cutting fruit for their kids as a way to show love. As these Asian parents age, they kind of flip the script and expect you to do something similar to show your love and dedication to their well-being and health. So how, where, and when does conflict as connection show up? This can be extremely common during times of high expectations. So special events like weddings, graduations, holidays. It can also show up when parents have been separated from their children for a while. Instead of saying, "Hey, how are you? What's it been like since you've been gone? What have been your favorite courses in college this semester?" They might say something like, "Oh, well, sure looks like you've eaten well. You've sure gained a lot of weight." Or make other comments that they know are going to elicit a reaction from you. They know how to engage in that script, which is safe, familiar, and predictable for them. Another common time when this might show up is when the family is celebrating an event or a milestone that does not center the emotionally immature parent. They might feel left out or fear that they don't matter or they're irrelevant. They may create some needs to center themselves, such as stirring up conflict or picking a fight or making negative comments about the person whose big day it is. This is a way that they know how to stay important and stay relevant. So what's the impact on you if you grew up in a family dynamic like this? You may learn that your value and worth comes from people pleasing and serving others. This may put you at a disadvantage in life where you go out of your way to make everyone else happy and prioritize everyone else's needs above your own. That creates a lot of feelings of resentment and low self-worth over time. And you may not know how to advocate for yourself or ask for what you want and what you need. Another way this may show up is you might think conflict as connection is the only way to connect with people. Sometimes this shows up in romantic dynamics where you're used to conflict and chaos as being the baseline. Stable and secure relationships might feel bland and boring and result in you self-sabotaging or breaking up with the person, even though they may be actually quite good for you. So how do you cope ahead? What do you do? How do you plan for this? If you have a family member that you know is susceptible to behaving this way, and you guys are getting ready for a big milestone event, it might be helpful to come up with some important tasks for them to do. You might give them a role or a job that makes them feel valued, but maybe something that's not crucial. So if they decide to stir things up by not doing that task, you have a contingency plan. Before holidays or family vacations together, you might want to plan and structure your time around a specific activity. Engaging on a shared task or activity together also helps contain the family. Everyone is sharing attention on a mutual focus, and that gives people less room to go off on their own agendas. What do you do if, despite all your planning and coping ahead, you find yourself in this situation anyway? Don't respond in predictable, emotional ways. Try to contain yourself, notice your triggers, and self-regulate so you're not being reactive and reinforcing this feedback loop. Remind yourself, it's not actually about whatever fight they picked. They're feeling unseen and they don't know how to connect with you. Take a deep breath, pause, then you need to diffuse the situation. This usually works best when your parents are just getting started or they're running out of steam because they have gone on for a minute. You can redirect the focus on something that you know your parents are already interested in that is more of a safer topic, such as the weather, their household decor, their activities and hobbies. And if they get started anyway, let them talk by putting in some fillers. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll look into it. Oh, thanks for your feedback. You're not ignoring them completely, which is likely to make them more angry, and you're not really engaging with the topic at hand. You're just kind of diffusing the situation, letting them talk until you can change the topic more safely. And then when you're engaging in other topics, that's when it's really important to really reinforce it. So when they say like, oh, how was your semester? You can say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for asking, Mom. It means a lot. You have to know whether you're talking to a brick or a sponge. Don't waste your time on the bricks. This is really hard because the tendency when you're triggered is to fight back, is to talk back, is to stand up for yourself, but that's just likely to reinforce the pattern. And of course, we're human. We're going to respond in the ways that we're templated to. So we might find ourselves in some cycles that we didn't intend to be in. That's okay. Give yourself some grace and compassion too if you get caught up in the conflict as connection. That's what's so bittersweet about these dynamics is unfortunately you're gonna have a lot of opportunity to practice this. And over time, you're gonna be able to tell and track it so you can get better and better at your own self-regulation and your own response to it. There's a lot you can do for your own internal healing. Going to therapy and talking through these patterns and dynamics can be hugely helpful because then you can recognize how it shows up in other relationships and domains of your life. It can also be really valuable to write about your experiences, journal about your memories, journal about these dynamics so you can get your thoughts out on page and be able to track them over time. It might be really helpful to talk it over with your siblings because they have experienced the same upbringing as you, but not every sibling is going to have the same experience. Some siblings may play into it or add fuel to the fire. There's also a lot of literature that can be super helpful. Lindsay Gibson wrote a great book on this called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents that explains the different types of emotional immaturity that can show up in our parents and how we reckon and deal with them as we grow. Another book that I really love, especially for mothers and daughters in this dynamic, is Mother Hunger by Kelly McDaniel. It's a difficult, heart-wrenching read, but it captures the experience that's so common between mothers and daughters. It might feel tempting to put your family into family therapy, but you know that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink? It's like that with therapy. When we become adults, our patterns and dynamics become highly solidified. So unless we're really willing to lean into the discomfort of vulnerability, introspection, and hearing someone else's reality that may feel really hurtful to us, we are unlikely to be receptive to any type of couples relationship or family therapy. This is why it's so important that we practice humility and self-awareness when it comes to our own healing or growth. We don't want to be the person who causes harm to one of our loved ones in this way, just as we did not deserve or want to receive it from our family members to begin with. I really hope that you're able to get to a place where there's actual tangible change through mutual alignment and respect and willingness to look at these patterns. That is ultimately the most ideal outcome. But even if you're not able to change this within your family dynamics or with your parents, know that it's not too late for yourself and your loved ones. This is the beauty of being a cycle breaker. When you learn your own relational patterns, you can then make the conscious effort to break these patterns by making different choices so you're not perpetuating these harmful cycles with your own loved ones. I'm Dr. Hanran. Thank you so much for watching. For more content like this from Healthline Mental Health, please like and subscribe. See you next time.